The narration landed at 7:12 p.m., right when I was chopping onions for a pasta sauce she loved. Emergency girls' night. Don't wait up. Heart. Amber never did anything. She color codes her planner. She sets alarms for watering the spider plant. The heart at the end felt performative, like a stamp on a letter you don't intend to send. I stared at the message until the onions started to burn. Everything okay? I typed. 3 dots. Nothing. Then, yeah, Jess is going through it. Last minute. Love you. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and tried to be a reasonable husband. People have crises. Jess could be crying on a bathroom floor somewhere. I sent back, of course, be safe. I plated the pasta for one, turned on a documentary I wouldn't remember, and waited for the front door to open. It didn't. At 9:03 p.m., I called Jess. No answer. I called Amber, straight to voicemail. At 9:26, I got a ping, a location share notification that must have been toggled on from last weekend's hiking trip and never turned off. A dot pulsed on my map. Downtown, near the old Harrison Hotel, the one with the Art Deco lobby and the overpriced martinis. Not exactly a place you hold your friend's hair while she sobs. I should have minded my business. I should have trusted the woman I married. But trust is a strange thing. It's a bridge you only notice when it creaks. I closed my laptop, grabbed my hoodie, and drove into the city. The Harrison glowed like gold leaf under street lamps. I parked across from a catering van with the doors open and a row of folding tables stacked with boxed meals. 2 guys in black t-shirts wheeled in lighting cases. A woman with a headset paced by the revolving door, saying, "He hits Mark C on the second beat, then we get the reveal." I froze. Film crew. That explained the van, the equipment, and the headset. It explained nothing about why my wife's location dot hovered over the same address. Inside, the lobby was a hive. A camera mounted on a rig. A boom mic is hovering near a marble front desk. 2 women adjusted flowers, like they could fool a camera into thinking they just naturally sat that way. A sign on an easel read, "Guests, closed set." I stepped to the concierge. "Is there a private event?" "Production night," he said. "Sorry, sir, closed to the public." "What production?" He smiled, the kind of smile that says, "If I tell you, I'm fired." "A hidden camera show," he said anyway, then quickly looked at the floor. My skin prickled. The kind of prank show that catches cheaters and stages loyalty tests. The kind I hate watch at 2 a.m., swearing I'd never be that guy who gets led by the nose into a trap. "Do you have an Amber Nolan on your list?" I asked. My voice came out too quickly. He hesitated. "Sir, I can't." "She's my wife." Something softened in his eyes. He leaned in, voice low. "If you're family, go around back, service entrance, fewer eyes." Fewer eyes for what? I pushed the door and made for the alley. The service corridor was fluorescent, heavy with the smell of coffee and hairspray. A woman with a clipboard intercepted me. "You can't be here." "I'm looking for my wife, Amber." Her expression did a quick math problem, risk versus disaster, and landed on a cautious compromise. "Are you Mike?" "Yeah." "Great," she said, then looked over her shoulder like someone might be listening. "You weren't supposed to arrive yet. The surprise works better if— Look, just wait and holding. We'll get you mic'd." Mic'd? The word landed like a foreign coin in my pocket. What surprise?
"It's a television thing," she said. "Everybody signs NDAs later. Just breathe." "Where is she?"
The clipboard lady's radio crackled. Last looks on Amber and Jason. Talent to one. She paled, then forced a smile. "Okay, actually, come with me." She zipped me through a maze of temporary walls and into a room where two PAs were taping tiny black squares under potted plants. I knew those squares. Pinhole cameras. On a monitor, a grainy feed showed a dim bar dressed to look empty. A man sat in a corner booth, chin stubble, tailored jacket. He was objectively handsome in a too-polished way. Across the table, my wife laughed. I didn't recognize her at first, not because of the curls they'd teased out of her ponytail, or the red lipstick she never wears, but because she was performing a version of herself I'd only seen at weddings and job interviews. The high-intensity Amber, all eyes and fizz and sparkle. She reached for the man's hand and said, "Okay, so the line is, we shouldn't be doing this." Then we fake the kiss, and the host barges in. The man, Jason, smiled with all his teeth. Right. My heart slammed so hard the room lost its edges. "What is this?"
The clipboard woman lowered her voice. "It's called Caught in the Act. The setup is your wife fakes cheating on you with an actor. We film your arrival. Then she reveals it's a prank to test your trust. Reality with heart." "An actor," I repeated, the word tasting like metal. "That guy's an actor? He's great at looking dangerous in a soft way," she said, weirdly proud. On the monitor, Jason leaned in, too close. "It's wild seeing you again," he said, and my stomach pitched because his tone wasn't scripted. He said again, like a door to the past had swung open and would not shut. Amber's laugh turned thinner. "Stay in character," she whispered, glancing at the fake fern with the hidden camera. "We're rolling, Jason." Jason, a name from a different chapter. I knew him. The ex? College boyfriend. Too much charisma. Ghosted her before graduation. Then texted 3 years later, "Thinking of you," like a hand reaching from a grave. I pressed my knuckles white against the folding table. That's not an actor. The clipboard lady's smile cracked. He's on payroll. He's her ex. A beat? "Oh," she said, sudden calculation flooding her face. "Well, the chemistry will read on camera." On the monitor, the fake scene started. Amber tucked hair behind her ear, the way she does when she's nervous. "We shouldn't be doing this," she said, hitting her mark. Jason mirrored her movement. "Then why did you call me?" he asked, low, smooth. She faltered, just for a second. "Because I wanted to remind Mike, my husband, what he's got." Jason smirked. "Or remind yourself?"
The narration should feel like a near miss, a breath of almost, something TV safe to be interrupted by a host with a catchphrase. But Jason didn't stop at almost. He kissed her. Not a peck, not stage, The kind of kiss I knew from our kitchen on Sundays, from parking lot summers, from after the fight apologies. The kind of kiss that drains all the blood from your brain and sends it screaming to your heart. Amber jerked back like she'd been shocked. "Jason, what are you doing?" He stood, blocking the camera, making it real. Something inside me snapped like a guitar string. I moved without thinking. The clipboard clattered to the floor. Voices rose. "Sir, you can't! Mike, wait!" But all I saw was the hallway to the set and the door and my wife's lipstick smeared like a crime scene. The bar was colder than it looked on the monitor, the air conditioned and overlit, the empty room actually crowded with crew trying to be invisible. Jason turned when I shoved the door. Amber stood so fast her chair tipped. "Mike," she said, and then stopped, because what do you say to your husband in a room full of cameras when you are in a dress chosen by a stylist to sell a story that just became true? I pointed at Jason. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Jason lifted both hands, palms open like I'd pulled a weapon. "It's a bit," he said, the smooth falling away, leaving the old smug. "You weren't supposed to be in yet." A man in a blazer with a headset stepped between us. "Everyone, take a breath. Mike, right? I'm Dan, showrunner. Let's reset." "Reset?" I laughed, ugly. "My wife is kissing her ex on a hidden camera prank, and you want to reset?" "It's television," Dan said, like he was apologizing for the weather. "We have releases. It'll be cathartic in edit." Amber crossed the space between us, eyes bright with tears. "It wasn't supposed to be like that," she said. "I swear. They told me he was an actor. I didn't know it would be Jason until he walked in, and by then we were rolling, and—" I stared at her. "And you still did it?" "I wanted to do something big," she said, words tumbling. "We felt stuck. You come home tired. I nag. We're okay. Not great. I thought this would be crazy and fun, and we'd laugh, and you'd what?" My voice shook. "Test me? Humiliate me for views?" Jason exhaled, long, bored. "This is going to be amazing TV." I lunged before my brain could vote against it. Not at Jason, not with fists. I'm not that guy. I grabbed the nearest thing that made a point, a fake wine glass. I held it up to the light and said, to no one and everyone, "You think this is real? Look at it. Plastic. The story's plastic. The kiss was real." Silence. The boom mic hung, listening like an animal. A camera whirred. Dan, the showrunner, pinched the bridge of his nose. "Cut," he said, and people scattered to neutral corners. Two suited men appeared like conjured, legal. One carried a branded folder. The other wore a tie in a color that said "expensive apology." The first one smiled with his gums, but not his eyes. "We're so sorry for any distress," he said. "Let's step somewhere private and go over the NDAs, Mike." "I haven't signed anything." Amber touched my arm. The familiar weight of her hand both anchor and accusation. "We can refuse the episode," she said quickly. "Right? We can kill it?" The narration number two's smile didn't waver. "Of course, you can choose not to air. But if you do, we'd appreciate your confidentiality about tonight." He slid a paper toward me. "This includes the talent's identity and any interpersonal history." Talent, I repeated, eyes flicking to Jason, who was texting like none of us existed. You hired my wife's ex to fake cheat on me? We hired a performer approved by casting. Any pre-existing relationship is purely coincidental. Is it? Amber whispered, almost to herself. That landed heavier than anything else. Is it? The question you don't ask when the bridge is strong. I looked at my wife. The gloss had peeled from her eyes. She looked small, the dress too brave for her. Did you want it to be him? I asked. The words scorched. No, she said, fast, firm. I wanted a stunt. I wanted a memory. I wanted us back in a story together. And now we are. The narration tried again. Producer voice re-hung on empathy. Here's what we can do. We film a conversation between you two. You talk about boundaries and trust. Maybe Jason apologizes. We control the narrative. People at home relate. We cut around the mistake. The mistake kissed my wife, I said. Jason finally looked up. For what it's worth, he said, she kissed me back for a second. Amber flinched like he'd slapped her. I didn't, she said. I didn't. A beat stretched so long it could have been grief. I felt something in me unhook. Maybe not love, because love is stubborn, but some confidence about the world's order. I took Amber's hand off my arm, gently, like returning something fragile to a shelf. We're leaving, I said. Lawyer 1 slid the paper closer. If you'd sign acknowledging you were present on a closed set. I acknowledge everything, I said, not taking the pen. That's the problem. We walked out past the fern with the pinhole eye, past the PA still taping wires, past the concierge who gave me a sorry glance that felt like a benediction. In the parking lot, the night air hit us clean and sour. We drove home in a silence that filled the car like fog. In our kitchen, the pasta I made had congealed into a single sheet. Amber leaned on the counter and finally broke. I'm sorry, she said, voice ragged. I thought it would prove we're solid, that we could laugh at how silly I looked pretending to cheat. I didn't know it would be him. I didn't know he'd do that. I didn't think about how it would feel for you. I sat. My hands didn't know where to go. I keep replaying the moment, I said. The text, the heart emoji, the lobby, the kiss. And somewhere in there, I'm trying to figure out if this is about TV or us. She wiped her face. Us, she said. I swear. And yet, I said, you wanted a story more than a conversation. We talked until the onions in the pan turned to ash. We said things that had waited months to be said. We hung the word therapy between us like a fragile lantern. We slept shoulder to shoulder and back to back. In the morning, an email arrived from a no reply at the network with next steps in the subject. I didn't open it. I made coffee, poured 2 cups, and slid one to her. She took it with hands that had held mine through funerals and vacations and Tuesday nights, exactly like this one. The narration doesn't always come with hotel rooms and strangers. It can come with a production budget and a boom mic and a husband who drove downtown instead of trusting a text. It can be manufactured, and it can be real. And sometimes those lines blur in lipstick. We didn't sign the release. The lawyers sent gentler emails, then none. The show aired other people's pain. We didn't become content. Weeks later, Amber deleted Jason's number, and I watched her do it, and I believed her. We sat on our couch and wrote our own script, with a therapist whose office smelled like peppermint and rain. It's less dramatic than a TV twist. It won't trend, but it's ours. And if there's a camera anywhere in the room, it's the one we turned on ourselves, honest and uncut, learning where the real marks are and how to hit them without breaking each other apart.